Yes, yes, yes.
Well, it's like a very basic, when you chew an egg long, just look at the wall. So the roof, not a lot of space in this room, so the seating's already pretty much full.
Yeah, yeah.
We will start in 5 minutes. So, could everyone take their seats, please?
You know, that's what she said.
You can take a vote and vote. Are you guys okay if we start 5 minutes early?
Inshallah.
Any last minute washroom break? Let's give a chance to. We'll just wait for people to come. Yeah.
Yes. George Dahmer, I guess. I'm sort of surprised with the game because I thought they were doing. So I'm sort of surprised by the date, but that's not what means they usually just before it shoots ends.
7 sharp, 7 we will start.
At least there's not a snowstorm, you know,
Yeah.
good weather.
Yeah, I'm saying, nothing dry, nothing dry.
We have a short little video. That'll help everybody kind of get settled in.
Get started with my vote for the Trustee, Toronto District School Board, Ward 11, Don Valley West by-election. Using my vote can make your voting experience easier. The app allows you to find all the important information you need to vote in this by-election. To start, go to toronto.ca/myvote. Then type your address until the drop-down menu appears. Select your address from the list and press Go. After pressing Go, you will find features like My Voter Information tab. This is where you can check, add, or update your voters list information. My Candidates tab. This is where you will find candidates who are running for trustee. And the My Voting Places tab. This is where you can find when and where to vote during advanced voting or on election day. That's not all My Vote has to offer. You can use the app to apply for mail-in voting. Just go to the My Vote home screen and click the Apply to Vote by Mail link. And if you're on the voters list, use My Vote to view, download, or print your voter information card. Avoid delays and use My Vote to make sure you're on the voters list. You can only add or update your voter information on My Vote until February 6th. After February 6th, you can add or update your information when you go to vote in person. You can use My Vote and all its features up to and during Election Day on March 3rd. For example, before you go to vote, download your voter information card and use it on your mobile device when you go to vote. My Vote can be easily accessed by either using a computer, tablet, or smartphone. And remember to check My Vote before you go to vote, as voting places are subject to change. Start using My Vote today. Go to toronto.ca/myvote.
Thank you, Karama. Hello, bonjour, salam alaikum, Zobriedian, ni hao, and hola. So this is the sum of the hi and hello that I know. So I would like to welcome all of you. Do I need wine? I don't know, maybe I should use it. I would like to welcome all of you on behalf of Grassroots Leaders Group, and thank you all our members who participated in organizing this, and thank you Karama and the team for allowing us to come to the hub and use these facilities, wonderful facilities. We did organize this setting maybe in 15 minutes with your help. And that is a great collaboration and cooperation between partners and community members. Today we are very honored to have our candidate for Ward 11 Trustee by-election candidate debates. So these debates are very important for all of us as a community member to hear from our candidates. And why it is important? Because we are talking about the future of Canadian. Children are the asset of any country. So whatever we are talking and committing today, even it is a by-election, but still any day action make a difference in future of our children and shape the future of Canada. So we are very much counting on each of you to have commitment for this neighborhood in Ward 11 and give your best. You have your tables displayed at the back, but that should not be there. That should be by action, so we have a lot of expectation from you. Today everything is in the hand of Nazira because when we collected the questions and queries from the community, it was a true consultation. Each community member gave their ideas and their wants, and we put it on the paper, and Nazira is gonna present it tonight. She is the facilitator for tonight even, and I'm just welcomed you, and hopefully we will have a very successful event tonight. Just one like housekeeping, so anybody need washroom, they need to use the entrance door. The washroom is outside. We have some cookies and some coffees and drinks. If you want, you can take it. Feel free any moment you like. And I just don't want to miss to make a special thanks from Shakuro. She's very humble. She said no, that she did a great job to bring all of us together. So now I'm handing over to Nazira, and she's the master of the...
Good evening, everyone. We will begin the program with a land acknowledgement.
My name is Zara, and we would like to acknowledge that we are hosting this event on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and wish to express gratitude to Indigenous peoples who continue to care for and advocate for the land we live on, work on, enjoy, and appreciate. We further acknowledge the long-standing presence, contributions, and achievements of peoples of African descent to the development of Canada since the arrival of the first named African, Matthew da Costa, in 1604, and those who arrived previous and subsequent to him. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Zara. We're going to get right to it. I see some people are in a rush tonight, so everything is going to be timed. Can we get the next slide, please? So the agenda for tonight, we will go over the debate format and the rules. Each candidate will have an opportunity to introduce themselves and answer one general question. Then we'll have a community-specific issue question, a policy and governance question, a question about anti-hate and anti-racism, and finally, a vision and closing remarks. So, next slide. The format will be as follows. For round one, each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and answer the first question. The speaking order will follow alphabetical order as they are seated by last name, and it will rotate for rounds 2 through 4. For rounds 2 and 3, each candidate will receive a unique question in the category. So not everybody will be answering the same question. We want to mix it up. And we, like Nadia said, we solicited questions from the community, and we want to hear, different views on different ways to answer the same question sometimes, right? All candidates will respond to the same question in round 4, and you will have a minute. And then the last final round, we'll have 2 minutes to answer the question, and we'll reverse the speaking order. Then we'll start with you, Sunny, and work our way backwards. Anjum will be our timekeeper. She will give you a 30-second timer, so please respect her. Candidates should be respectful and wrap up their responses. So finish up a sentence, but don't start a new paragraph. Fair? All right. Excellent. So we'll start with the next slide. So Is there a mic there? Can we test the mic? Masood, you'll be up first. And I'll read the question as well. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So Masood, and this will be the same question for all of the candidates. So the first question is, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing our school board, and how will you address it?
Good evening and Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for coming over here tonight. Good evening everyone. Thank you for coming today for this important meeting. I am thankful for all the candidates also to be here. My name is Masood Alam. I'm living in this neighborhood for more than 20 years and involved in the school councils for more than 20 years as well. The biggest challenge. Sorry, 1 second. The mic is off. Yeah, we're looking to stop off.
That's okay. This one is working, so I'm gonna pass this one over. Oh, this. Yeah. Very well.
Okay.
Do we try again? You can start again. We'll reset this mic for you.
So my name is Masood Alam and I'm living in this neighborhood for more than 20 years, involved in all school councils for more than 20 years. As I'm involved with the schools and TDSB, the biggest challenge I have seen, the biggest challenge TDSB is facing is the shortfall of funding, which is all schools, maintenance, staffing, special education needs, and extracurricular activities. The schools are facing infrastructure repair problems, which TDSB is facing. Overcrowding is an issue for TDSB, including the equity and inclusion, racism to some extent, and the barriers in learning by the students from different diverse communities, and also the mental health issues which is being faced by our students, which is again a challenge for TDSB. Violence in schools and safety of kids at school is again a challenge. Lockouts in the schools were seen in the recent past. Number of police visits to the schools are increasing. Staff and teacher shortage is an issue for TDSB. Supply teachers and transportation issues are also the challenge which TDSB is facing. So the challenge is reflecting directly onto schools and to our students' success in their studies. TDSB is directly impacted by the funding cuts by the government, and which is affecting the after-school programs, inclusion of other programs, STEM programs, and funding to continue with the specialized needs of the schools. So these are the challenges which TDSB is facing currently.
Is this mic working now? Test. I think we're okay.
Hello. Okay. Hi, Aaron Anderson here. Thanks for coming. I was born and raised in Toronto. I grew up studying in the TDSB. I even spent a year teaching in the TDSB as a co-op student. One of the biggest challenges I think the board faces is that it's very lopsided towards left-wing politics. It seems like that's the only thing that's being pushed in the TDSB. And generally I'm not too big on the whole diversity, equity, inclusion policy that's being pushed. I think there's also a big problem with transparency and accountability. So I think it's just important to have a voice in the TDSB that really pushes for families and puts families and the students first. And yeah.
Good evening and thank you for coming. My name is Stacy Klein. I'm born and raised in Toronto. I am a former TDSB teacher, and if elected, I would be the only person at the Board of Trustees who's actually taught in the TDSB, which is why I am running, because the TDSB Board of Trustees needs that teacher's voice. And why do we need that? Because of the issues we're facing today. And really, it does come down to the amount of money that we have. There is a funding shortfall. In 2018, there were significant cuts, $1,500 per student, and we are dealing with less money. Now, having said that, that means that the TDSB has to be smarter about the way that we use the resources at hand. So, what do we need to worry about? We need to worry about resources in the classroom. What does that mean? Critical resources the teachers need, tools for the classroom, high skills coaching, support staff. We have issue with infrastructure. Our buildings are crumbling. I'm a Northern mom. I go to Northern, my daughter's there, she complains every day about how it feels like the building is falling apart. That's just one example. We need to fund these buildings. These are supposed to be healthy places for our children, but also for our teachers who are teaching. These are also workplaces. In addition to that, we need to be more efficient in our spending, and we need to look at where we can have savings. For example, teacher absenteeism is a problem, and that is related to mental health issues. Mental health is an enormous issue that we're facing with both teachers and staff. We need to work with staff to lower absenteeism. In fact, if absenteeism was lowered 10%, we'd save $21 million. And I think that is directly related to mental health issues. And with that, again, it's about using the resources we do have currently, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me tonight. My name is Diana Goldie. I am running because I have lived in this ward for over 30 years. I've been a parent engaged in our school systems for over 25, supporting students through various initiatives, chairing school councils, numerous fundraising initiatives, getting a program called Empower Reading into K to 6 school. And I care about our students. I'm still supporting students at the high school level, and there are many concerns I have. And as you heard, everybody sort of touched more than one topic. But I guess if I have to pick one topic, it's safety in our schools, which includes mental health. It includes teachers' health too, and the absenteeism we have in our classrooms. I hope mental health. So I want to support our students and make the schools a safe environment where it's a healthy place for all students to learn. Thank you for your support.
Thanks everyone for coming and being a part of this. It's great to see such turnout for a trustee by-election. Just shows how serious politics is getting and everybody's kind of waking up, right? Pleasure to meet you all. My father was a TDSB teacher. He taught at Don Mills Collegiate. He died when I was a year old from lung cancer, but what I knew is that he wanted to teach at OISE because he was convinced that teachers didn't know how to teach. And I've spent every step that I've been through the education system asking myself how to fix the education system because I knew that my father believed that, and I formed my own opinion and realized he was right. And I went to U of T for 10 years. I was a student president there. I teach at a bunch of different schools. I do teach at the TDSB on Saturday mornings for the Leacock Foundation, and I run an after-school program called Ultimate Coders, and I've taught for Toronto French schools. I've taught computer science at a synagogue up north. I can compare a lot of different school boards. And over the past week, I've been telephoning this riding. Hopefully I've been able to reach some of you, donate to my campaign so I can make more calls. That call software is not cheap, but what they tell me on the phones is not these practical problems. What I actually hear from parents on the phone is that the number one problem is in fact hate. We hear about rising anti-Palestinian racism, we hear about rising anti-Asian racism, and personally I've observed anti-Semitism on the rise for the last 20 years. And you know, we all have the concept of a proxy war, but we have in Toronto is actually a proxy peace. We have an uncanny amalgamation of different cultures here in the city, and I was reflecting just as I was on my way here that if we can't get along in the Toronto School Board, we can't get along anywhere. But what that means is we also have an easier version of the problem here. So if we can get along here, maybe we can get along anywhere else. So pleasure to be here.
Hello, salam alaikum. My name is Jason Stevens. I feel like I know so many people here. I want to thank Shaflo, who organized this, who I ran for city council with. She is a remarkable woman, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's also an honor to be here with many of these fellow candidates. What you'll hear is different people sharing their experience, so very briefly to all of you beautiful people in this room, during a time that has been called the most difficult period in history, I'm a McMaster University grad, and I served as president of the student union there, like some fellow candidates, like many students here. Then I ended up working in Ottawa and was elected director of the Canadian Federation of Students, Fédération canadienne des étudiants et étudiantes. In 1998, so I'll speak in both languages a little bit, but I'll translate for myself. In 1998, I got to travel to Paris to study, and I've also studied French at Trois-Rivières. And as many of you will know, a lot of our Ward 11 schools have a need to protect our French language. In my background, my father was born in Iraq, so Kalam Arabi, Shukran, and Kif Halak Kula Tamam. My Arabic is decent. My father spoke fluently. He immigrated in 1960s as a lawyer and was hired by Premier John Robarts. He served with dignity and distinction. He co-founded the Co-Council of Muslims and Jews, the Co-Council of Muslims and Jews, to bring harmony. And there's an absence sometimes of the fact that Semitic peoples should be brothers and sisters. I believe the school system should have another subject, an emphasis of gardening. In Norway, in the Norway and other European countries, in the Norway school system, gardening is a subject. I believe it's a creative skill. My time is up, so thank you and happy Ramadan soon.
Good evening, my name is Sunny Young. I was born in Toronto. I'm of Chinese ethnicity. I went to Preston Heights, then Cosburn Middle School. I could have gone to Leaside, but I went with my friends to East York Collegiate Institute, so we compete with Mark Garneau, I guess. I'm concerned about the rise of the right, and we've seen that happen in the province of Ontario, populism. They've not increased the funding for the students, so just adjusted for inflation is about $1,500 less than 2018. So the biggest challenge is to balance the $3.5 billion budget. By law, we have to balance it, and I know that's going to be an issue. As a trustee, you're supposed to make decisions on the resources for the students, and then indirectly the parents, not so much fellow teachers, which could be a conflict of interest with the former colleagues. But I would say that Toronto is now more visible minorities, but the largest group is still probably 40% white Europeans. So, people that are against diversity, inclusion, equity, can't really change the policy. They would need 12 votes of the 22 to change it, and I don't see that happening. And Toronto's model is, our motto is diversity is our strength. So I think we have to be more inclusive of Muslims given the population is growing.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. And thank you all for, rolling with our tech issues at the very beginning, but and also staying on time. Our next category for questions will be community-specific issues. So these were questions that were collected from the community, and each of you will receive a separate question, and you'll have a minute to answer. And this time we'll start with Aaron, and we'll work our way down. So if we can pass the mic to Aaron, I'll read the question to Aaron. Thank you. So if we can have the first question, please. So the first question, Aaron, your question is, how will you address overcrowding in schools in our ward, including Thorncliffe Park Public School and Mark Garneau Collegiate Institute?
How will I address overcrowding? Is this on? Hello? Okay, is that it? Well, one, I think just getting into the schools and just repairing them first. I know most TDSB schools are, just simply put, in very poor shape, like just physically. So I think actually getting in there and doing work, expanding classroom space, more classrooms, I mean, that's probably just the biggest thing from the start. I know that does take more money, so it's definitely to have consultations with the province and talk to them and really make sure that, and city council to make sure that that can be done.
Thank you, Aaron. Next question will be for Stacy. So with all the new developments coming into our community, how will you secure funding for our new school buildings or expansions from the TDSB and the Ministry of Education?
Yes, this is definitely a problem in this riding, specifically because we have a new transportation system we hope might be opening at some point along Eglinton. But with that comes, of course, new development and growing populations. Right now, what's happening is that kids are getting bused to schools. I've met children who are at the Yonge and Eglinton area who are being bused to Rippleton down at Leslie because it is a problem to get them into the local school, John Fisher. And the issue here is that a lot of the funding does need to come from the province, because right now, in terms of the buildings that we do have, we're about $6 billion in backlog. So part of this is working in coalitions with our provincial partners. In addition to that, there right now is a moratorium to close schools that are underpopulated. And I think there comes a point where we need to have a negotiation with the province for that kind of flexibility, so we do sell property, have money to then build new properties in areas to serve where new populations are growing.
Thank you. The next question is for you, Diana. How will you advocate for technological improvements and resources to support growing student populations?
So that's sorry, you turned it off. Sorry, I missed that. So that's a bit of a repeat from Stacy's question, because it's again a funding issue, it's a good question because it's important, because there's a lot of special programs I want to put in. I think we have to look at reallocating some of the existing funds efficiently and advocate for increased provincial funding with the new government. Build public and private partnerships, and prioritize some cost-effective strategies. So this is overall for all sort of funding issues, specialty programs, even some building initiatives. So I hope that helps you.
Excellent, thank you.
Hi there. Same question?
No, new question. All right, so Adam, your question is, what is a creative solution you would propose to address student absenteeism and lateness due to building elevator issues in our community?
Well, this actually takes me back to an experience I had as a student in the public school system. I grew up in Barrie before I came back to my birthplace, but one time when I used to be a bit of a student absentee student, and one time they asked me why I was late, and they didn't have, I put lack of desire to be on time because I've been up all night, and they said, well, we don't have a category for that. And I thought, well, if you don't have a category, why are you asking me? Because they weren't really consulting the student as to why they weren't there. And so you have to start with direct student consultation. Why are you absent? Because often that's a signal of some other problem going on. It might not have anything to do with what you think it has to do with. So it's a very individual thing when a student's not showing up for class, and their teacher's got to talk directly to them. And maybe they don't even write it down what's going on.
Fair enough. All right, thank you. Jason, your question. So, how will you communicate your decisions and actions to parents, students, and the broader community in Thorncliffe Park?
Thank you, Nazara. That's a softball question for me. When I worked in Ottawa, I served as a representative for 400,000 students. And as many of you know, living near Thorncliffe and Overlea and dealing with, for example, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, a real reduction in programs for students here. For example, cricket there's not even cricket tools, cricket bats, And when I ran for city council, one of the issues that came up often was that the students here in Thorncliffe area and Overley and anywhere, but particularly there, do not have appropriate after-school programs and have been shy and neglected. So to answer the question, I am one of the most responsive people here. I'm probably the only person here who served as constituency staff for an honorable minister, solicitor general, for the solicitor general. Well, let me finish. Which solicitor? Sorry, I'm interrupted. For David Christopherson. I didn't know someone else here served for David. And I believe that that gift or that experience, when we deal with the school system, everyone here will know, Stacey certainly knows, Minister Dunlop will appreciate a former staffer who can communicate and say Salam Alaikum because my time is up. So, Erin and Nazar, I pass the baton.
Jason.
Thank you. I'll be brief.
All right, the next question is for Sunny. How will you ensure that schools in our community receive equitable funding to meet the needs of their diverse student populations?
Okay, there's about 583 schools. This is the most Muslim-esque area, and it's got a growing population. So it's done, the funding formula is based on per student. I think the overcrowding can be dealt with by building a new school, like across the street. Well, there's an intersection that there's a lot of old age homes. William Morgan, we can probably build another school off of that area. And the only way we'd get more funding is probably to vote for a Liberal government, because I don't think the Ford Conservatives are interested in dealing with the education portfolio. Like, they're building hospitals, but then they're not hiring enough nurses to work the jobs, so they don't allocate.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunny. And the final question for this round is for Masood. So Masood, how will you promote culturally responsive teaching practices to support our diverse community?
I
think you turned it off.
Song.
Oh, it's not working. It's not working.
This community is one of the most diversified community in Toronto. In these 34 low-rise and high-rise buildings, I guess more than 50 diverse communities are actively living over here, predominantly by Muslims and then other communities. So there are cultural sensitivities, but I'm involved with an interfaith group which are regularly having community meetings involving all the parents and also involving our students. We are having a community organization. More than 100 volunteers are actively working with us. 70 are youth volunteers. So we engage them into cultural activities, and we are also connected with all churches, North Cluster of Churches, and the mosque, and my Jew friends are also connected with us.
Thank you, Masood. All right. So now we'll begin round 3. So these questions are more focused on policy and governance. And this time, could we please pass the mic to Stacey? So we'll start there, go down, and then work our way back up. So Stacey, your question is, equity is a broad term. Can you describe one specific measurable policy you would introduce to address inequities in Ward 11 schools?
Yeah, so equity could mean many things to me in terms of what lens you're looking at. To me, equity means that every student deserves an equal shot. Every student deserves equal opportunity. So I'm going to talk about equity in terms of students with disabilities. And the reason why is because this is a community that I hear a lot from, that they feel forgotten. They feel that our school board has been designed for children without disabilities, and children with disabilities are an afterthought. So the way that I need to work on their behalf is to advocate for the reduction of barriers. This is equity, meeting the needs of students with disabilities. What does that mean? It means, number one, buildings. Our schools need to be wheelchair accessible and, again, accessible for any child with a disability. But that's just the physical building. Let's look at the supports that are required in the classroom. It means high skills coaching for teachers, mainstream classroom teachers with kids in their class. It also means support staff on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will be for Diana. So with respect to parent involvement, how will you ensure that parent engagement is meaningful and not just a performative consultation?
So that's a great question, and I think a lot of teachers learn a lot of this in Teachers College, so I'd be following that same model that the Ontario College of Teachers has initiated, and doing more engagements, understanding the communities around the schools that they're serving, and having events that are appropriate to that community, having events that represent the community, and educating people in the school about various cultural differences within the students, like having a potluck dinner. I went to a school just last week that had a multicultural potluck dinner, and it's an amazing event that the community participates and looks forward to every year. Those are ways that you get more engagement, and then parents get to know each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane. The next question for you, Adam, is regarding safety. So what policies will you advocate for to ensure the safety of students and staff in our schools, especially with issues such as bullying, harassment, and violence?
Yeah, well, this touches on, by chance, the thing I opened with, which is hate. And, there's been a lot of talk lately about defining or not defining different kinds of racism. And I think, speaking of equity, what we need to emphasize is equality before the law. We need forms of definitions that don't specify really specific groups. We definitely need to flag certain groups when there are certain conflicts ongoing, but to get people's attention. But you don't need different definitions for hate against different kinds of groups. There are general definitions of hate and racism. And I'm glad to see that work is ongoing on the board. I've been watching all of the meetings about anti-Semitism and anti-Palestine racism, and we have to continue that work and make it more general. We basically have to generalize the solution. Luckily, that's kind of what you can do with formal tools like what we teach kids in coding. That'll be part of the curriculum as well. So fairness involves a bit of using general purpose tools before you get to the specific ethical conclusions. But that's the issue I hear about on the phones all week. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. The next question is for you, Jason. Many students struggle with transitioning to university or college. What specific initiative will you introduce to bridge this gap? How will you address inequities our students face in achieving academic excellence in post-secondary education?
I grew up in North York, and at that time the school system dropped the grade 13 OAC and switched it to OACs, as many of you know, Ontario Academic Credits. There's obviously, as I spoke to Trustee Dawson this week, one of the current trustees on the board, we talked about the marginalized groups that still exist in the system. And this doesn't mean, I think, for those of you who know the hot topics right now, obviously everyone's paying attention to the school board news, civic news, that there's changes, that there's some focus on changing the names of Sir John A. Macdonald School. Myself, born in Toronto, and a former provincial staff person and teacher. I taught English here and in China. Ni hao. Ni hao. I believe that those marginalized groups, we must find equity solutions, and I will advocate to Minister Dunlap ferociously that she funds teachers who deserve an absolute high-quality education, and students should never be in fear. No student, not my nephew, not any of your children. That's what I'll do.
Thank you, Jason. All right. So the question for you, Sunny, is, where is it? How schools face a shortage of mental health professionals. Do you have a plan to increase access to these resources without relying solely on provincial funding?
Okay. There are guidance counselors at the middle school and high school level. I believe the funding for, let's say, autism and Asperger's the spectrum, there's about 50,000 to 70,000 on the wait list. So the reality is they gotta pressure the government for more funding. That's the reality. They don't necessarily have to vote conservative because they want to get the money for their issue. The province is spending money on, I guess, drug addiction and not so much on mental health issues. So some people are falling through the cracks, unfortunately, and that's on the province.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunny. If we could pass the mic to Masood, or if he's got one that works. So Masood, your question. With over 80% of TDSB schools in disrepair, what will be your top infrastructure priority and how will you ensure timely action?
With a lot of schools, buildings are aging with poor maintenance or no funding, proper funding for the maintenance, including the green spaces which we can use at schools to cut down the expenses like utility bills. If we use more green energy programs at school, solar panels at schools, proper insulation, double windows, so that kids will have less sickness, that will add more additional expense to TDSB. So if I'll be elected, I will try to enforce more green energy resources to better use infrastructure resources and to reduce the cost of repairs.
Thank you. Thank you, Masood. So the final question for this round is for you, Aaron. And this is regarding after-school programs. So expanding extracurriculars requires funding and staff participation. How will you secure both without overburdening already stretched resources?
Okay, yeah, great question. I am really into the extracurriculars. I'm a big sports fan. I would like to see basically all TDSB students more involved in sports and other activities. Yeah, just more sports teams. I think it's fairly common where a lot of kids want to join a sports team, maybe they don't make the team. I think it would be good to have even just multiple tiers of teams, so all kids can join the hockey team or a soccer team if they so choose. And yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. So this ends round 3. If we can move to round 4. All right. We're moving right along. So I'm just going to give a preface before we share this question. So each candidate will be answering the same question, and Jason's not here. But by the time we get to him, hopefully he will be here, and it will be his turn to answer the question. So I'll give you some context first. The TDSB has committed to combating different types of hate and racism through a board-wide strategy. Everyone wants our children to be free from hate and racism in their schools. 3 of these types have been raised in the media recently. How will you help get rid of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and anti-Palestinian racism? So we can show the question, and we'll start this time with Stacy and work our way down. Thank you. Oh, is it Diana? My bad. Okay, thank you.
Good question. Thank you very much. I think, and I'm going to put these all these categories in. Hate crime is hate crime, and we got to promote education and awareness. Number 1, we've got to establish clear policies and consequences for those that offend. We have to foster open communication, open door policies, and we have to promote inclusivity in our within the curriculum. Support the teachers and the staff, involve the whole community when making these decisions, and encouraging peer mentoring and conflict resolution as opposed to having an staff authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, everyone. This is such a crucial issue, as I've already alluded to. And, I agree with what's been said, that a hate crime is a hate crime. That's kind of what I was saying earlier, that you have to start at that sort of abstract template before you apply special cases. And we need to broaden that definition in various ways. Obviously, we've been discussing about broadening the definition of anti-Semitism to include certain forms of anti-Zionism. Not every possible form of anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, but that is good work that it's being included, some of it. I've written about this in my blog, by the way. Look up when is anti-Zionism anti-Semitism. And other things need to be included. If you tell a student not to show a religious symbol, such as a Star of David or even a keffiyeh, that in itself is a hate-motivated offense, I would say. It's also victim blaming. When you're basically, it's no different than when the police, what the police chief said that started the genesis of slut walk. It was victim blaming when you told women not to dress that way. It's victim blaming when you tell Jews not to dress that way or anyone not to dress that way. So we do need to expand the definition of hate to include more instances of it, and I don't think we've overdone it yet. We do have to be careful. You can't define everything as hate, but there's a lot, and we got to work on it.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Same question for you, Jason. So,
Thank you. Sorry, I had to go to use the men's room. Thank you for that too. Thank you for the mic. I am picking it up. Called me so kind. In terms of recently, many of you saw there was a report brought forward on anti-Semitism to the school board. I participated for about 4 hours outside of that meeting, and then following up with one of the trustees of the school board, Trustee Dawson. There is no room. As a student born in North York to an Iraqi father and Israeli mother, my father taught me at a very young age. He said, Jason, you should pick up this book. It's called the Quran. The Quran teaches about Jews and Muslims being people of the book. So I said, Shukran, Abba. And for me, there is absolutely, students should not face either any form of oppression, anti-Semitism. Semitic peoples are not just Jewish people. I am Jewish. There's a few other candidates who may be Jewish, I won't assume. But to me, Muslims, the Arab world are also considered Semitic peoples. It's not. Thank you. Salam.
Thank you, Jason. Sunny, over to you.
Okay, as a person that is Chinese, neither black or white, I could probably be best to moderate the two issues. There's got to be an understanding of the history prior to the establishment of Israel as a state, so that equivocates on some of that, and the recent events in the Middle East have kind of, I guess, bled over to Canada and so forth, and that's why there's, I guess, people that are saying certain things. I know that there's a rise of the right in the world, and some people espouse free speech, but you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. So we'll have to have some sort of relational, cross-cultural relational forum or something to that effect to deal with that. I've been getting emails from Jewish members of Don Valley West, and they want to know my view.
Thank you, Sunny. We'll wait till the mic gets to Masood. Pass the mic. It's like hot potato.
I read Quran at home and I studied Bible at school. Even my dad and my grandfather studied in UK before I was born. So I learned from early childhood, I learned how to respect others, other religions. So every student deserves to learn in a safe, respectful and inclusive environment, regardless of their background, their religion or their beliefs. So I'm a member of an interfaith group who are promoting interfaith harmony, and I'm also volunteering in Youth for Human Rights for 3 years, including my son. We were invited to United Nations. We are promoting to teach human rights at school as a curriculum. So to combat with anti-Semitism, Islamophobia or anti-APR, whatever you can say, I will support educational programs to promote tolerance, respect, and cultural understanding across all faiths and all communities, including promoting more programs in the schools and educating our parents also.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Aaron?
So yeah, I guess I come from this from maybe sort of a different perspective. I'm not a religious person myself. I'm not pro or anti any group along these lines. I'm just, I think it's one of those things where bad ideas like these, I think tend to thrive in ignorance. So I think the best way that we could sort of address it is just to have like an open dialogue. And the more you talk about these issues, the more the bad ideas fall apart. And eventually sort of, hopefully as a society, sort of move past it. Thank you.
Thank you. Stacey?
Thank you. So I'm going to agree with Diana here. I want to take a look at all these different kinds of labeled racism. I'm just going to say that racism is racism. And when we silo racism, we're doing everybody, all of our beautiful, diverse communities, a disservice. Racism is racism, and of course, as everyone has said, every child deserves to feel safe and included in their classroom, and by the way, so does every staff member. So I'm just taking it a step further here, and I'm going to take a look at policy. Teachers are responsible to the Education Act. Teachers are responsible, every staff member is responsible to the Ontario Human Rights Code. So there are laws in place that staff is required to follow to ensure the eradication of racism from our classrooms. In addition to that, staff is responsible that teachers are only teaching vetted material. So again, that's a policy issue here in terms of ensuring that all the material that gets down to the child's classroom is vetted. We have to also ensure that, for example, grade 5, grade 10, grade 5 government, grade 10 civics, this we talk about good citizenship, and an element of that is anti-racism.
Thank you, Stacey. All right, this brings us to our final round. This will be an opportunity for you to make your closing remarks. You'll have 2 minutes. And the question, I'm going to say it first before we share it on the screen, is to share your vision for the future of public education in Toronto. And this time around, we'll start with Sunny, and then we'll go down the line. All right, thank you.
Can you hear me? All right.
You have 2 minutes, Sunny.
Well, we got to get more funding. That's the reality. Student marks fell in 2019, and then the pandemic hit. People had online learning. The marks went down, and then they're still kind of down. And I think Ford is kind of dumbing down the population of work, the trades to work for his developer friends. So, we're going to have to do that. But in terms of closing, I have a Bachelor of Commerce degree. I have the red and blue cards at the back if you want to see my platform. I will vie for the audit committee to find savings. So if I look for 2% savings and then find 1%, that's better than nothing. That could deal with a lot of the issues. One of the candidates that are not here on the stage, if you compare and contrast their websites, is like a white nationalist. So there are interesting characters running for for trustee, but there's also interesting candidates that ran for MPP that had to drop off even though their name was on the list. So the representation will matter in the future going forward. 12 of the trustees are female, 9 are male, and 1 vacancy was Rachel Journalist Lynn, who was elevated to replace Jay Robinson, who unfortunately died from cancer. So I'll work in the vein of Rachel Journalist Lynn and continue the lawsuit against the big social network companies. And with that, I pass.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunny. It's the same question for you, Jason.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So share your vision for the future of public education in Toronto.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Toda rabah. Shukran. Sheshe. Kamsa hamnida. Merci beaucoup. You, all of you, wonderful people. To be in a room here with Dr. Bahira, who's, taking a role and taking a fierce, courageous position as a woman from Islam who's in engineering and running for office. Whether I agree, will vote for or not, I applaud you. That is courageous. My fellow candidates are all erudite. Erudites means bright, brilliant, and the people in this room. Many of you I've seen, Mohammed and his family who just left, Shaklo, Nazira, some TNO staff, Naja. I've met so many of you as I ran for city council, but I met many of you because I was born here and I had no shyness going to the science center, riding a bike through Thorncliffe, playing with kids in Thorncliffe, eating at the kebab place, making fulam dammas, which some people know is a Middle Eastern dish my father and mother would enjoy. My vision in 2 years is that you have the only candidate here before you who has a proven record at McMaster University. After serving as president, I received an honor Emma Award, the highest distinction that the university gave for contributing to the community. I will do I don't change that much. I will do the same here. Every one of you who's seen me walk by 55 Thorncliffe, the Thorncliffe Library, you're going to get a candidate here, whether you feel left-wing or right-wing. You're going to have a man who, when you call and you say, I need help, or my student is in trouble, who's going to show up to your door? The answer is already clear. You know the answer. Salam alaikum. I hope all of you have a beautiful Ramadan. Whatever religion, thank you. You are beautiful people. My fellow candidates, it's an honor to be on this table with you. Shukran.
Thank you. Let's pass it to Adam.
Hi everyone. Look me up online, adamgolding.ca. I have a lot more to say. You can read my blog, you can read my resume. When I'm not teaching extracurriculars for the TDSB or for other school boards, I run this school called Ultimate Coders. We teach computer programming to kids starting in senior kindergarten. Those are curriculum reforms that we have to bring to every school board, and in the case of the TDSB, working with the province to do so. Make sure you get a copy of my short platform. It's real simple. We're going to teach coding early coding, that's what I do professionally. We're going to have longer recess. That will actually help reduce medication. When I was a student union president at U of T, over half of my executive was on ADHD meds. I don't think they were all deficient. They were U of T kids. And smaller classes, everybody agrees with that, but we have to do some funding triage every year to actually make it happen. And fund the arts, that's what I also want to do when I ran for city council. And bottom line, you can trust me, I've got this.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam.
Hello again, everyone. As we wrap up tonight, I want to leave with you with this. Leadership is not just about checking off boxes and following bureaucratic processes. It's about listening, understanding, and taking real actions on issues that matter to families in our community. Our students deserve a trustee who actively stands up for their rights, ensures real parental involvement, and fights for resources the schools need. I've been in the trenches advocating for better resources, safer schools, and stronger partnerships between parents and educator. I'm not here to make empty promises. I'm here to make a real experience, clear vision, and deep commitment to putting students first. With this and your support, I hope to work together and make this happen. My priority is to build a school system that empowers all children, protects their rights, ensure their success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Take it away, Stacey.
So my vision for the TDSB comes to you from someone who is a mother of a TDSB student and a TDSB graduate, and as someone who has taught in the TDSB as an elementary school teacher. So my vision comes from parenting and from the classroom. My emphasis is on academic achievement, academic excellence. Children are focused on those subjects that many parents feel that we've forgotten about. Student well-being, teacher well-being, mental health is essential for us to be successful. My vision is that children will leave the TDSB in grade 12 successful and ready, prepared for whatever comes for them in their post-secondary experience. In addition to that, we need them to be learning in healthy buildings. So the place that they learn must be the best place that we could provide for them. And again, as trustee, I would be an elected official. You've elected one of us to listen to you, to represent you. So another vision that I could add to that is ensuring that the parent voice is part of making this school board the best that it can be for our children.
Thank you, Stacey.
Yes, my vision is I would love to see just a return to academics, really push math, science, reading, writing. I think almost regardless of the backgrounds of parents in the city, I think pretty virtually everybody wants a return to the basics. I'd also I'd love to see just sort of overall less politics. I think it becomes a little heavy for students especially having to sort of face that on a day-to-day basis. So I think less of that would be good. My vision, it includes better money management. I serve on my condo board. I manage millions of dollars in the reserve fund and operations fund there. So I have experience managing large amounts of money. I know that maybe not quite TDSB size, but a decent amount. I want to be responsive. I know a big issue with a lot of parents and community members is trustees, they go to meetings, they vote, that's it. Emails, calls go unanswered. So I would really want to respond all emails, all calls within a day or two, make sure that all concerns are addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. And Masood, go ahead.
I come to Canada more than 25 years back with a master's degree. 40 years back, I got my master's in IT. And when I came over here with a dream that for the success of my kids, and 2 of my older kids are married, and my grandkids are going to schools now. So I'm a strong advocate for students, parents, and educators while ensuring the effective and responsible governance of the public education. Because all of us are immigrants. Maybe your grandparents come 6 generations back, or you have come today. If you ask 10 parents why you come to Canada, everybody will say for the success of our students and their education. So let's work together. My vision is work together for the success of our kids. Keep all your political differences aside, keep all your cultural barriers aside, keep all your religious differences aside, and work together for the success of our kids. We want our kids to be successful, highly educated, receive good education, and to be successful in their life. If our kids will be successful, the whole family will be living in peace of mind, less burden on the government, less burden on our medical system, our administrative system, our law enforcement system. So let's work together. My vision is to educate the parents. If the parents will be well educated, our kids will be well educated. If they are educated, they will be better citizens. So let's work together. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Next slide, please. So now we will have an opportunity for the audience to ask questions, but we would like for you to submit your questions in writing. Try to make them as legible as possible. We can figure out most of it. And include the name of the candidate that you would like your question addressed to. So if you can, May or Laura?
So if you look over there, there's a table with sticky notes. Please make your way to the table, write them down, and then I'll pass them to the moderators. We have time for this, right?
I think we have. Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. How much time do they have?
Maybe about five minutes. 8:05. We're right on schedule, everybody. So you guys are doing amazing. Excellent audience. So right now it's 8 o'clock. We'll give you about 5 minutes. No. We'll take the questions in writing, please. Huh? Because we don't want to extend the meeting past, and we want to be fair to everybody, right?
it should be the same question to be asked all the candidates. No, listen, it's the question asked differently each candidate. Because I don't know what you're thinking about this question or that question. Because I can conclude the whole thing.
For sure. So then maybe you can put that question and write it to which candidate you want to answer. Sorry?
Because I'm saying that all the questions you ask all the candidates, for example.
Yes.
Each candidate asked a different question.
No, they only answered 2 different questions.
They should ask the same question. I can't understand like, what is view for this question or that question.
So what's your, let's talk on the side. We'll get your specific issue.
All of them about the same questions.
Yeah, you can also meet the candidates after. In fairness to the community, we solicited over, 20, 30 questions. Hold on one second. So if we were to ask all 10 questions to all 7 candidates.
That's the problem. If I don't get other people's view for the same question.
We thank you very much. We understand your concern, and it is a valid concern. But because all the question is not coming from us, from all the community, just give me a second. So it was a lot of question. And if we ask all candidates, so we have to stay till 11 midnight or 12 midnight. So it was not practical. This is the question from people. We did not ask from our, this is our question. So we do not want to make a dialogue. So we have a couple of questions. Yes, we have a couple of questions. They might answer, but all of them have a chance. If they want to add any comments on all questions, so they are most welcome to add any.
Listen, sir. All right. If you would like to ask your question, I'm okay. Listen, we can accommodate that, but then we can't give speeches. Okay. So if I give you the mic, she will time you. You will get 30 seconds to ask your questions. No more. Not a second over. Is that fair? But we will invite you to come to the table here, and you can form a line. The questions that have already been written, we will address those first. And then if there's another candidate that would like to add, then please let us know, and then we'll let you add to that. Is that fair? Yeah. So we will have a hard stop at 8:30. Okay? All right. No, we're here to listen. This is the first time some of us are doing this. Yes?
Let them also tell who they are directing the question.
Absolutely. No, they will. When you line up here, you'll let us know. Yes, you can form a line there. If you have a written question, we can start with the written question.
You want to answer or no? You just pass. If you want to answer or not, we just want to pass. You have all the right. Yeah, good timing.
We can just do like
30 seconds.
This question is directed to Okay. So we have a question from Bahira. Where's Bahira? Yeah. She actually put it in writing. Can we just can you ask her who it's addressed to?
Not there.
They have a minute. Okay. For sure. For everybody. Okay. So Bahira has a question for everybody. I will read it, and everybody gets
1 minute to answer.
A minute max. Okay. You've already written it. I'm going to read it. Okay. So what is your position of pushing gender ideology on kids in schools? So we'll start with Masood and work our way down. Thank you, Bahira.
Can you repeat the question, please? Nazira?
Yes. So what is your position of pushing gender ideology on kids in schools?
Every child is having the right of self-determination, and when kids are young, they don't know the gender ideology, but as they grow, they learn. So TDSB give equal opportunity to students and parents to decide in their best interest, especially parents and the teachers.
Thank you, Masood.
Yeah, I am opposed to teaching gender ideology. I think just the whole I don't consider the whole gender thing just a legitimate concept. To me, there's two sexes, and the concept of gender identity to me isn't very interesting, or I wouldn't say it's a valid concept, so that's how I would approach it.
Got an answer.
There is a health curriculum in place to protect our children. Children are walking around with these. They get access to unvetted information, and so a health curriculum has been designed to ensure that our children get factual information in a safe environment taught by professional educators. And I support a curriculum that keeps our children safe.
Thank you, Stacey. Diana?
So I think when we talk about curriculum, we always have to think of age appropriate. I have heard a story of someone being taught about having his privates taken off at kindergarten. That was unacceptable. Parents have since taken their child out of the TDSB and put him in the Catholic board. Something like that is unacceptable. I think teaching our children about sex factually is correct, so they know anatomy and things like that. But I think we have to be very mindful of a child's age. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Connor?
Hi everyone. Aaron's not quite right. The biological reality is that some people are intersex, some people have different chromosomal configurations, especially outside of humanity, and prenatal hormones vary continuously. So there is an effect in infinitude of genders if you define it hormonally. But capitalism overprescribes everything. It overprescribes ADHD medication, it overprescribes vaccines, it overprescribes death in the form of MAID, and it overprescribes gender hormones, and Europe has begun to realize that.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. Ask me, Mike. Thank you. I think I don't want to spend any time on that. I want to spend time on core issues. I'm not interested in gender debates.
Thank you, Jason.
I would not push it, but I would acknowledge that there are transgender students in high school.
Thank you, Sunny. And we'll start the next question from this end, and we'll work our way down since the mic's already here. The next written question is for Masood, actually. Sorry. We do have to pass it down. You got a mic that works, Masood?
There's one here, one there.
All right. Already answered. So, Masood, the question for you is, what is the role and responsibility of a trustee, and how much are you connected to schools? What can you do?
The biggest responsibility of the trustee is to design the policies of the school board along with in consultation with the schools and the parents, and to allocate proper funding to the schools, maintain the disciplines in the school curriculum, and also the infrastructure to be maintained, allocate proper resources to the schools, including teachers, education, and also funding for the after-school programs, and to control that no racism or bullying is there in the schools. If there is any, it has to be addressed timely before it will become an issue for the school board. And to address the mental health issues among our students.
Thank you, Masood. While you have the mic, Masood.
So I didn't hear you very well. Could you repeat your question, sorry?
That question was specifically just for Masood.
Okay.
So he's got another question, which is, what are your thoughts, Masood, about the LGBTQ agenda is being pushed to kids?
TDSB has a curriculum which is, they call it health curriculum. Some people call it sex ed curriculum. LGTB is a reality, but parents have to decide what their kids should follow. So they cannot enforce TDSB to decide on LGTB issues. LGTB, those who are following LGTB, they're having a right to follow their beliefs, but parents have the first right to decide on LGTB issues.
Thank you, Mr. The next question is going to be for Diana. So Diana, can we get the mic to Diana? Excellent. How comfortable are you standing up to trustees who you don't agree with?
Oh, very comfortable. Sorry, I shouldn't answer that quickly. I don't have much more to say. I have come from a background of negotiating contract deals for big telecommunication companies, so I stand up for, I did that a lot. Thanks.
Excellent, thank you. If you could pass the mic to Stacy. All right, Stacy, the question for you is, what do you think about our country's mass immigration as it affects school boards like ours?
Well, I mean, this goes back to issues of equity, this goes back to issues of course, racism, and this goes back, of course, issues of ensuring that students get what they need. Toronto District School Board is probably the most diverse school board in North America. I'll even probably put it there. Don't you think it's probably the most diverse in the world? I think it is, because Toronto is one of the most diverse cities in the world. And I am a former ESL teacher, and I worked in the Jane and Finch area, which is very, very similar to this area here. What this means is that teachers need to be trained to receive students all the year through. And in addition to that, ESL, I think, now needs to be beyond just a resource teacher's place, but this is something that, with high skills coaching, all of our teachers need to be prepared for. And in addition to that, children coming with different levels of education, we need to be ready to receive it. So this is a high skills coaching and support staff issue. Thank you.
So now we'll take a couple of questions from the audience. Please limit your question to 30 seconds. We will hold the mic. And whichever candidate is asking, please, 1 minute.
Just question from Masood Alam, and the question is that how you are going to make sure that we are getting the funds that are needed for the school, for our schools, for all those schools over here.
Government has cut the funding to the schools drastically, which is affecting all the schools, not only schools in our neighborhood. Our schools are overcrowded and need more funding to address these issues. Overcrowded classes needs to address the issue. In this neighborhood, the class sizes are as large as 34 to 35 kids in middle school and around up to 25, 26 in high school, as compared to the other schools in the ward. So if we will allocate funding as per the number of students in the school, that will help resolve the issue, or move those schools to the less crowded area where they will be allowed to study, to allocate those funds properly in these schools where it is much needed. So we demand the government to restore the funding to the schools which was cut down.
I guess there's that idea that we're all answering?
Okay, my question is for all. We talk about the LGBT, and especially from the Missouri. Okay, the LGBTQ, yes, it's an issue, and I agreed that we have to respect for everyone, whatever want to declare himself. Although now the most of the world leader and a lot of researcher, they are coming back on the concept of the two gender. But my concern is that we have only one dominating day, one dominating month in the school. There are a lot of other days, but I never saw the schools are celebrating them too much. So how we are going to handle this dominance for the student? Briefly,
what was your question?
Question is that in the schools nowadays, the dominance of the celebration of the LGBTQ is too much. So the kid, those who are not related to that, we should not push the doctrine on them. Then how you are going to handle this thing?
TDSB has to focus more on the kids' studies rather than promoting any culture. That is my stance on this. And still parents are having an opt-out option available to send their kids to school on that particular day or to go for that particular curriculum.
This question is for everybody. Oh, this question is for everyone.
So yeah, I think I generally agree. Yeah, I generally agree with what was just said. I think I'm not necessarily on board with the idea of a Pride Month, and I think just a report, a return to just more academics and putting that first.
This for me is filed under safe and inclusive classrooms. Every child, from whatever community they're from, deserves to feel safe and included and heard. Every staff member, from whatever community they are from, deserves to feel safe and included and heard. And that is my TDSB.
So I would say I really wanted the curriculum to focus on back to basics and delivering a high quality education for all students. That would be inclusive, so that I want to focus on the basics that we need for our students to succeed in life after school.
I want to comment on this question, how it's phrased in terms of gender ideology. I understand the concern about any kind of ideology, but there's a big difference between teaching diversity and teaching ideology. And I don't think we should teach any ideology. We shouldn't teach what conclusions are correct. We should teach how to reason, how to think. Obviously, it has to be a safe space in which to do that. But we shouldn't be teaching ideology, period. That doesn't mean there shouldn't be a Pride Month, but you have to not teach the conclusion, right? And I want to add, look up an article I wrote about this called Gender Curious Care. I don't think gender affirmation is exactly right. I think it was well-intentioned in a lot of cases, but it's been used against the left, at least in the arguments by the right, even if that's not quite fair. We shouldn't be talking about gender affirmation because not everyone needs every treatment. And actually, it's great for business to say every customer is a customer. And that's not how we should be doing things. We should be saying this is a rare treatment for a rare situation.
Thank you for the question. In my experience, what we're missing is a focus in Ontario, in Toronto, on core issues, student-teacher. When I taught English in Guangzhou, China, and when I taught English downtown to new immigrants at the Bloor Spadina Church, and I was also when I took TDSB programs myself, what I see must be emphasized for all of you, salam alaikum, is core issues. Students need to get creative skills. Stacy's right, put the cell phones down, take up good math, English, science. Like I said before, gardening is an absolutely great subject. We're all, half the people in this room are gardeners. It's used in Norway, it's used in Europe. We need to focus, we need to get Minister Dunlop, and I will tell my colleagues at Queen's Park, where my father worked for 30 years and where I worked, I'm the most effective candidate who will get the funding to focus on core math, science, physical education, long recesses, by fighting. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I remember taking sex ed in grade 5. You and the other concerned parents can exclude your child from going to that class that lesson that day, but the reality is LGBT stands for lesbian, gays, bisexual, and transgender. So if you acknowledge that Thorncliffe is kind of Muslim-esque and South Asian, then let's say the gay village is gay, right? But there's straight people as well, and there's probably Muslim people living there for the lower rent.
Thank you, sir. We'll take the last question from the audience, and then we have one final written question.
I just have two small questions. Number one is just couple small questions only. It's not gonna hurt anybody. I know, but you're taking my time, so you don't let me speak even. Okay, that's better. So like, I mean, I'm asking, like, first of all, this is a matter of the Don Valley West, right? I want to see like how many people are from this area. How you guys know like what problem we're facing here? Because I see like most of people whom these faces are here first time unknown. Okay, only one person I see like a Masood. Okay, he's doing a good effort. I understand that. But the thing is, the question is, how are you gonna like like save our children from the like those sex ed curriculum? Because he was a part of those groups, like who promoting these things and who's bringing these things. So my question is always going to be to you. We fought against these things, and you are standing on the other side. But how you gonna be? Just wondering, how are you gonna stop these things from now on? Maybe you change your mind. I don't know. This is from Masood, and first question for all of them. They're all different. Is writing or not?
Another time. Who's starting?
So Masood, we'll start with Masood. The first question was, are you from the riding, and what's your connection to the riding, or to the ward? And then the second part of that question was for you directly, Masood. So we can start there.
I'm living in this riding for more than 21 years now, 25 years in Canada, and this riding I take it as my home. Every single child in this ward, I treat as my child to be successful in their career. I was teaching computer classes. For 7.5 years I was teaching at TNO to parents, and I taught 42 batches of 3 months each to teach the parents computers and online learning and social media, so that they will be successful in their life and they will help their kids in their life. This is my connection to the community. As far as my friend has said that I was promoting this culture, no, that is not true. Most of the parents, they never studied the health curriculum, never. I studied every single page of that health curriculum, and I wrote my comments on every single page when I had a debate with the premier of that time. So if anything was wrong, I have my concerns on that. I was having the opt-out option available for my kids and for other kids as well. So same, I'm promoting a group.
So I live in the downtown core, and I do shifts or work in the neighborhood nearby regularly.
I started with Don Valley West 30 years ago in the office of John Godfrey, the Honourable John Godfrey, Member of Parliament, constituency office. I served Thorncliffe Park then and all of Don Valley West. If you were there then, I may have helped you with an immigration case. So I'm very familiar with this riding. In addition to that, I'm a Northern mom. My daughter's in grade 11 at Northern. I hear a lot of concerns from you about the health curriculum. And I just want to say that I personally respect any way that you want to raise your children. I think that is very valued in a trustee, is that we listen to you. And I want you to know that your children are protected in the school. And that, yes, absolutely, all material must be age-appropriate. But again, the position is to listen to you and for you to not feel pressured or concerned about any of the material that is being delivered to your children, ensuring that they are safe and included.
Thank you, Stacey.
So I've lived in Don Valley West, Ward 11 for over 30 years. We brought up 3 children. I have been involved in over 4 schools in Ward, chairing school councils, numerous fundraising initiatives, still supporting 2 high school teams. So I'm quite engaged within the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Adam?
Hi everyone. I mentioned at the outset that my late father taught at Don Mills Collegiate, so I have a sort of spiritual connection to the area, at least the way I feel it personally. And what I didn't mention is that my partner, who's not a public figure, lives at the corner of the riding, so if I win this election, I can afford to start a family here. So I will have real skin in the game.
I was born at North York General Hospital, and I have the fortune of having 2 wonderful nephews. Habibi number 1 and Habibi number 2. My first nephew is at York Mills Collegiate, which is a little north of here, as you know. And my other nephew graduated and is already working. I've been in this ward, born in North York General, lived in the ward for about 4 years. My family lives in the ward, my mother, my brother, and my nephew. Most importantly, with having a nephew like many of you who have sons and daughters, because my nephew is in Ward 11, Jason Stevens has 1,000 reasons, inshallah, to fight for every single person in this room. I will never let my nephew down. I want him to be safe. I want all of you to have good programming here. If you see me in Thorncliffe Park, please just say hello, Jason, because you will never not get a call back from this candidate. I appreciate everyone here, and I want to thank everyone for your questions.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, I live east of the riding. I have lived in East York and North York. I volunteered for the Rachel Chernow-Flynn campaign. I'm currently on the Stephanie Bowman campaign. She's an accountant that's going for re-election. You'll see me on Thursday getting out to vote. I promised to help Rob Oliphant, canvas in his new neighborhoods that are added eastwards because of the boundary changes. I used to work in Leaside Park for a marketing company from 2014 to 2017. So that is my ties to Don Valley West specifically. And lastly, we should acknowledge LGBT students because some of them might commit suicide if we don't.
Thank you, Funny. All right, so this concludes, but we do have one special question. It's actually a poll for the candidates as well as the audience. So get ready to put your hand up if you agree with this, all right? So would you like to see the candidates share the time in office proportionally to how many votes they receive? So shall I repeat the question? Would you like the... Anyway, no pressure. If anybody would like to answer that, we're happy to entertain that. Otherwise, I would like to conclude. Oh, you would like to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
It's called an election. There's 10 candidates actually where you can compare and contrast. And I think that there'll probably be about 5,000 votes cast of the 66,000 eligible. So someone could win with 2,000 votes. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this?
No time.
All right. So that concludes our evening tonight. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being patient with us. There's no more final word. We will allow you to we will allow you to network and connect with the community at this time. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to thank all the parents who care about the future of their children, who showed tonight and stayed that long, and thank you for candidates who have commitment for change. Thank you.
Guys, if you don't mind, I want all candidates' pictures.
Oh, you want to get all the candidates?
There's a unique star.
Just put this down.
All candidates' picture, please. Oh, I'm so concentrated. Thank you. One minute only. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice to
Thank you all, and I'm sorry.
What are your name? Nice to meet you. Oh, good to chat with you.
Have a good Ramadan. Have a very good Ramadan. Eid Mubarak.
You have to keep all of them inside King House.
Like just who's this? We're gonna not all of them, just the ones that go around. Yeah, okay, how are you? Alhamdulillah, how are you? Alhamdulillah for everything. I try my best, I promise Shakira, don't hurt your back. I don't know, don't worry. There's a lot of people who can do that as well. This chair.
Thank you, and nice to support you. She was in the right now.
That works. Yes.
She's gonna mention my name?
I don't care. So because whenever we fight fire with fire.
On that. Yeah. Reasons.
Remember now, good job. Watch.
Her camera. You will just talk to her, but not with your literature. Not with your literature. In fact, not with your literature. No.
Yeah, sure.
Ladies, are you ready? Okay.
That's a great shot. Sorry. That one on video. And your photo.
No, I want to see you and then I'll.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Leora and Margie
You know
tell
what?
you.
I'm
Tell
just
her
do my camera.
I'm gonna be across for two
Just
more.
too soft.
All right. Oh my God, I love it.
I'll take it with mine.
That's why it's the camera.
Here. My camera now.
Okay, camera.
Okay. Big sign, ladies.
Yeah.
With your brochure.
I love the shade.
Should I get the brochure?
Were you satisfied with your question being asked? And I also
Okay, ladies, can we get a picture? Okay, go ahead. So you guys hold it.
Oh, where you going? She's dropping me a fire.
Okay, good.
You mark that out.
That is great, guys. Okay. Hi, Mom. Thank you. Wait,
No,
he's
beautiful. Thank you for having me.
You hold it.
No, I won't. The Ramadan is coming up.
Okay, everybody, look at it. Yeah.
And what is the organization?
Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Thank you.
You know?
It's gonna
I'll
we
send
actually
you.
have a madrasa upstairs, the big school.
And you're a teacher. Your husband's a teacher.
I'm the administrator.
So you've been working.
The back end.
Is he unionized?
My friend, it's an Islamic school. It's like a madrasa.
No. I got to, did your husband get to make the Hajj? Very nice. I got to go to Al-Aqsa. Inshallah, I was at Al-Aqsa Mosque. It's one of the first. Abu Kiraki, you don't speak Arabic. Speak Arabic?
No.
Okay, well, my father, being born in a Shiite country, taught me lots of things. And he was a lawyer and pleasure, guys. Wonderful. Salam. I hope, what's your name? Mamuna. Good Ramadan. Mubarak.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.